everyone. I am from the internet. Just a quick show of hands, please. How many of you would like to make the world suck less? Don't be shy. Great. Excellent. Wanted to make sure this was the right place. Good. Well, that's what I want to talk about. Because I'd say 99% of us would agree that there are plenty of things that need changing. And if we take time to think about, there's plenty of stuff, no shortage of things that we'd like to do to improve our world and then the world of our communities. But like I said, I come from the internet. Actually, my entire career has spanned a bunch of different startups that I've helped start. Travel search engine called Hipmunk, Reddit.com, which I'll go into a little bit later, and then Breadpig, the Newman's Own for nerds. I can't make salad dressing, so I thought, let me make geeky things like webcomic books and then sell them and donate all the profits. It's been going well. But a lot of the lessons I've learned here and a lot of the opportunities that I've gotten because of this wonderful internet-enabled age have made all kinds of awesome things possible. So let's talk about Reddit. When I started it in 2005 with Steve Huffman, we had no idea what it was going to turn into. And as of last month, it actually ended up having about 25 million visitors. Now, I will say this. While it is now a top 50 website, most of that growth actually happened after Steve and I left. So whether or not that is correlation or causation, I will leave to you. That said, I'm still very proud of a model where anyone can submit a link, and if it's good, they vote it up. If it's bad, they vote it down. And it's this rising and falling in front page. And it basically gave birth to a special whale, a whale named Mr. Splashy Pants, or Splashy to his friends. I actually got to give a TED talk about this because Greenpeace wanted to name a whale, and the internet hijacked its poll. They had a lot of serious names, and then they had one, this name. And of course, that was the one that won. But what was very cool about this was actually the whales won too, because the goal of Greenpeace's campaign was to get the Japanese government to stop a humpback whaling expedition. And it actually happened, in part because the internet was so excited about an awesome whale named Splashy Pants, right? It was something that wanted to be talked about. And this is the promise, this is the magic of the internet. Now think about this. This is the most fluid, the most perfect marketplace for ideas, right? That means there's a lot of competition, but it means there's also lots of opportunity. Now, granted, there is a lot of very serious competition for your ideas. But this should not dissuade you. It should encourage you. And you should remember that this is the enemy. Actually, specifically, this is the enemy, the back button. This is one of my favorite Paul Graham quotes. The back button is your enemy online. If you cannot immediately impress someone, they will hit it and go away forever. But conversely, they're also just a click away from getting to your content. And as long as we have net neutrality, every link is created equal. All of our links are the same, and any one of us with an idea worth sharing can share it. So let's go back to the original question. How can we make the world suck less? Now, careful observers will notice that this is pretty much the inverse of making the world a better place. Pretty much means the same thing, but it's a very different approach. This idea of making the world a better place is something I hope we can all also agree on wanting to do. But it's something that's also being dramatically affected by the same internet that business is. So let's look at an old broken model that I'm excited to see go away. It's the Sally Struthers model of do-goodery, which is we see a woman crying, begging, pleading us, guilting us into wanting to give, showing us images, this sort of poverty porn to sort of motivate action. And I'm excited to say that this is a broken model in the internet age. And to continue doing this is really just at your own peril. We all know there are plenty of awful, horrible things happening in the world, and it's important, absolutely important to share those stories. But if you really want to motivate people and really inspire people, you have to understand the medium and the generation. Right now, at this moment, we can see photos of people's breakfast from all over the world. That is ridiculous. That's a real search, and that is a real stroopwafel. And incidentally, if you find yourself in Amsterdam, try one, they're fabulous. But this is ridiculous, but this is the world we live in. And it's this same technology that makes us wonder, hold on, if I can see what someone halfway across the world is having for breakfast right now, why can't I see where my donation is going? Right? We've come to expect this. If I can see the stroopwafel, let me know where the hell my money went. And the nonprofits, the do-gooders who are doing this so well right now understand this. They take it a step further. They make a $10 donation feel like a $10,000 donation. And this is making all the difference. So let's look at a few nonprofits. These are a few that are drinking the milkshake of the old guard of the nonprofit industry. Kiva, DonorsChoose.org, and Charity Water. Now Kiva, there's a wonderful TED Talk about it by one of the founders, is a microfinance platform so that you can go online for as little as $25 and make a loan to a microfinance institute anywhere in the world that then makes a loan to an entrepreneur, so that a farmer like this guy can get the supplies that he needs. I actually was a Kiva fellow, a volunteer, who spent 3 months in Yerevan, Armenia. And while I was there, I would blog. This was all part of the Kiva process. Like every other fellow, I would share stories from the field. And Kiva donors from all across the world, who may not have even left their neighborhoods, were so excited to hear about our stories. Stories from people they didn't even know, in places they had probably never been. But they were curious to know what it was like to be an entrepreneur in Yerevan. They were curious to see the photos because that incentivized and encouraged them to give. And one of my favorite things about Kiva are the lending teams. It's a competitive model, a sort of way to get people to compete in their benevolence. The top 2 lending teams on Kiva, I don't know if you can read this, are the Atheists, Agnostics, Freethinkers, and the Kiva Christians. Now, I hope you all have experienced the internet before. There are not a lot of places online where you can bring these 2 groups together and have anything productive happen. But Kiva is an exception, and they're actually battling it out because it's exciting, because it's fun. They want to show how much more benevolent they are than the other. What a great use of this technology. So Charity Water wants to provide clean drinking water to everyone in the world, and they're doing it one well at a time. They are just throwing data at you in a very beautiful display. Every photo, every statistic they can send you, every dollar that goes in, they show you where it goes. And they'll even bring in Google Maps so you can see from satellite what that well looks like. This is what we've come to expect. And this is what donors are expecting to see. Now look at donorschoose.org. This was started by a public school teacher in the Bronx, Charles Best, who was frustrated by the fact that he and his fellow teachers had to buy some of the most basic supplies for their classrooms. So you can go on Donors Choose and donate any amount of money you want to a specific classroom project. You see a photo of the kids. You see a story from the teacher. And if you're lucky, you get a note. This is a handwritten note from one student. My favorite part about it there is the postscript. We helped donate some microscopes, and in fact, quote, "The microscopes work totally fine." Thank you, Isaiah. So not only did I get a smile on my face, but I also got some due diligence, right? I know that the microscopes that I donated money for actually work. It's simple. It's transparency and excitement. That's what these nonprofits are doing. And if you can get me excited about what you are going to use this money for, if you can get me excited about your cause, and if you can give me candor, if you can give me total transparency about where those dollars are going, it makes a world of difference. Now remember this, not the way you think, but size does matter. Bono, he comes on stage, raises many, many millions of dollars for very big causes. But what excites me are all the mini Bonos out there. There's a movement afoot called the Awesome Foundation, and it's in over a dozen cities across the world now. And it's a very simple premise. 10 people get together every month, donate $100 each of their own money, and create a $1,000 awesome grant awarded to someone who has an awesome idea. That's as simple as it goes. There are no strings attached. It's simply a way to create basically a MacArthur grant for micro flashes of genius. And what's come out of it has shown that with a $1,000 project, you can actually get something started. You can actually create a giant hammock in Boston, which was the first one. But you can also fail, and it's okay. When you've invested millions of dollars in a very big project to solve a very hard problem, it's really hard to come up on stage and say mistakes were made. I mean, I guess, okay, a few people can get away with having a lot of money do things that don't work out well and say that. But most people can't get away with that. And if this is starting to sound like a lot of tech culture, it should, because this is what makes our industry work. This is Steve, my Reddit co-founder. This is what drives tech innovation, right? You fail fast, you learn, you iterate. And yes, sometimes it can be embarrassing. But if you're willing to put it all out there and say that you made a bad decision once, and you couldn't help it, the lederhosen just, you didn't have a choice. If you can accept that, people will understand, and in fact, they will appreciate it even more because of your candor. So let's talk about a man named Stephen Colbert wearing a fabulous Reddit t-shirt. Now, Reddit loves Stephen, and rightly so. A man last year named Glenn Beck, another comedian, was giving a talk. Was giving a talk down in DC. He wanted to restore honor to our country. And a Redditor, not long thereafter, posted to Reddit a comment about having had a dream. He imagined a satirical rally being held in DC by none other than Stephen Colbert. Well, Colbert saw this, and he started talking about it on his show, and he started teasing it, saying that if the Colbert Nation showed him enough love and enough support, maybe, just maybe, he would do it. So Reddit, very wisely, took a look and saw that he was on the board of DonorsChoose.org, and went and saw that the largest fundraiser to date was by the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, who had raised a very impressive $30,000. So Reddit wanted to match this, and then beat it, of course, to show Stephen how much they wanted this rally to happen. So they did, in an hour. But it goes further than that. Actually, Reddit got a little carried away. And by the end of it, they beat that score by about $500,000. The final total donated to DonorsChoose.org was over $600,000. And remember, this is donated by a bunch of random people sitting at their computers, when they should be working, surfing on Reddit, and getting caught up in something that was just really exciting. And the fact that they knew every dollar could go to the classroom of their choosing or their project of their choosing, that motivated them. And lo and behold, the rally did happen. Now, of course, we did learn after the fact that they had gotten the permits ahead of time. But don't burst my bubble, okay? The internet was thrilled. It was like a nerdy Woodstock, except there were no sex, no drugs, or rock and roll. So it was really not at all like that. But it was a bunch of geeks hanging out, having a ton of fun, and a bunch of folks from all over the internet just showed up for a good time. And that's the magic of the internet, right? Stuff just happens because people get carried away by the magic of it, by the wonder of it, because it's just kind of cool. And no one has a crystal ball. No one knows what the next meme, no one knows what the next Mr. Splashy Pants is going to be, or the next $500,000 Donors Choose fundraiser is going to be. But the best thing you can do is just put as many ideas out there as you can, and then make them as internet ready as possible. Because I believe you all have ideas that are worth spreading. And it's important, absolutely important, to be thinking about making your idea spread. You should want your idea to be worth spreading. But flip the script. Think about making an idea that just cannot be restrained. Thank you.